Welcome to the Mom Needs a Moment podcast. We're your hosts, Chrissy
and Cindy,
co-founders of Her Health Collective.
We are two moms obsessed with revolutionizing the way moms take care of themselves. We are so glad you're here. Let's dive in. We are all working on something, and many times we get scared and stuck during the process. Coaches help you to get there faster by helping you rediscover your power and all of the things you're already capable of. Coaches will not let you resist your greatness. Kristin Baker is an executive and leadership coach who specializes in coaching professional women to lead fun, purpose-driven lives while navigating the demands of parenthood. She says, quote, 50% of what I know about leadership comes from the business world, and the other 50% comes from my experience as a mother, end quote. Kristin's professional experiences have helped her develop a deep understanding of team dynamics, performance management, operations, and the development of a thriving workplace culture. Her experience as a mother continues to teach her about forming relationships that can withstand any misunderstanding or disagreement. In this episode, Kristin talks more about what executive leadership coaches do and who should be seeking out the services of a coach. She talks about the number one struggle she sees in the women who work with her. Kristin also discusses the importance of asking powerful questions and what it means to have an energetic shift. Without further delay, here's our chat with Kristin Baker.
Kristin, we are delighted to be here with you today. Cindy and I have had the pleasure of talking with you quite a bit recently, and I think I'll speak for myself, but I'm also kind of speaking for Cindy. I know we both have such a warm, fuzzy spot in our hearts for you. So we're excited to share some of your knowledge and just the awesomeness that is you with our listeners. So we start every episode by asking our expert guest to tell us a bit about who you are. Why do you do what you do? What are your current struggles as a mom or in your profession? You can choose what to focus on, but you only have 2 minutes.
Are you going to time me with a timer?
No, it's not that particular.
We'll just kind of sit here going, making a face at you. Yeah.
I will do my level best.
Okay.
I should actually say
that's all we ask. That's all we ask.
But yes, I'm Kristin Baker. I live in Durham, North Carolina with my 9-year-old daughter, Avery, and my husband, Ben, and my extremely spoiled, adorable dog, Mila, who I just realized is sitting in this room right now. And I really hope the UPS man does not come during this conversation. And I got into the land of coaching back in 2016 because I had gone back to work in 2015 after having Avery, and I was just not finding the fulfillment that I was used to. And I was so lonely, like new motherhood. No one told me how lonely it was going to be. My family is all here in North Carolina, and I was in St. Louis at that time. And so it just felt like nothing was really working in my life. My husband and I were doing a lot of trading the kid while we did stuff separate from one another. And there was no family time. There was no quality time. There was no connection or conversation or any of the things that I grew up with in my family that I longed for. And while I liked my job, it didn't feel like a good enough reason to leave Avery for 5 days a week. And I was like, I think I want to work, but it better be a freaking good job if I'm going to leave my kid with somebody else 5 days a week. And so that's when I decided to hire a coach and start being trained as a coach. And I discovered, that a whole world of wonder awaited to me on the other side of understanding all the ways that I got in my own way, essentially. Once I started working with the coach, it took me 4 months, start to finish. No kidding. I started working with her in February of 2016. And by June, I lived here in North Carolina. I had left my job. I started my own business. I enrolled my husband in a cross-country move. It was like major power unleashed, but I needed support. And so that's how I ended up here. Now I've got my business and I help other women who are looking to sort of reinvent in a similar way. But a lot of times we don't feel like we can have all that,
Oh, Kristin, I identify with so much of your story, particularly the having the child and wanting work, but wanting time, and just that struggle. And I think so many moms do. I know so many moms do because I talk to them about it all the time. So thank you for sharing that. And wow, kudos to you. 4 months That is wild. Knowing you and having talked to you a bit, it doesn't surprise me. But also, I think that's it's a testament to the power of coaching, which is what we're going to talk about today. It's a testament to what can happen when you have the right support system in place and the right encouragement and the right person asking the right questions, which is what we'll talk about today.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Where did you move from when you said you moved across country?
So I grew up in North Carolina, but I lived in St. Louis. I moved there in 2006 for a travel job. And shortly before I decided to move home to North Carolina, I met this handsome, strapping man. And so I stayed, and I kept thinking I would move back any minute. And then all of a sudden we had a house and then we had a child, and it got harder and harder. And for me and a lot of my clients, I want to share this story because I think it will really resonate potentially with some people who are listening to this. For me, the thing that kept stopping me from moving was feeling like, first of all, I was going to be responsible for his happiness. Like if we moved to North Carolina, I was taking him away from Missouri where he grew up, and his family was a couple of hours away, and his football team was there, and his best friend was there, and his job was there, and I was like, how can I possibly ask to do this and upend his life? So that was really in my way. And working with my coach, I hadn't even really broached the conversation in a way that was empowered and not like resentful and angry. So she helped me with that part.
And so you talked to him and he was like, let's do it.
Well, I talked to him from a different place. All the other times I had talked to him, it was like, I want to go and I'm sad and blah, blah, blah. But I also was like, I was getting in the way. Like he would be like, yeah, okay, we can go. But then I would stop us because I was so afraid that I was going to be, again, like I said, responsible for his experience.
Right.
And that was just me projecting because that's what I made him be, responsible for my experience in St. Louis and how it wasn't working. So it's very interesting how we have our ideas about things and we get in our own way. And once I started to practice putting myself first, on the other end, he loves it here. He works from home. He started working from home in 2016. Before that was a thing. This man in his boxer shorts and his his t-shirt every day at the computer.
Not knowing what's going on below,
alive.
Right?
Business on the top, party on the bottom.
Exactly.
And just like our whole life became so much better. We had so much support with my parents next door to us, helping us raise our 2-year-old. We started having family dinners again, and everything got easier. And he said to me at one point, what would we have done if you hadn't had the courage to have that conversation with me? And I said, we'd still be commuting to work and I'd probably be really unhappy and resentful and not very nice.
Yeah. Wow. I'm so glad you shared that story because I think it will be helpful for our listeners to hear. But I get to take us into a little surprise question. I always love going into this area because you don't know what you're going to get. And it's kind of fun to put you on the spot. Sorry, but it kind of is.
I can handle it. Do it. Let's hear it.
All right. Choose a number between 1 and 31.
27.
What are you most thankful for?
Oh,
besides your kids, let's take it outside of, because everybody will be like, my family, my kids.
This seems unspecific. I am most thankful for like my life, like the simple, ordinary life, like the walk with my dog in the morning in the woods because I love pine trees, because I grew up here, the smell of pine needles, like living here now after not living here for 10 years. Every day when I walk my dog, I'm like on the verge of tears because I'm smelling the smells of my childhood, which I missed so badly that it was like visceral. And I'm grateful for, like occasionally cooking dinner when I get my act together. And then I'm grateful for takeout when I don't. Just
right.
Like those ordinary moments, dropping my kid off at the Y and her giving me a big hug around my neck right before she gets out.
Yeah.
Just like really the ordinary stuff.
But it took work to get there though, right? To recognize. Yes. Yeah. So all of you out there that are listening, it did take work for you to get to this point where you feel grateful for all of the little things. And we will talk about this a little bit later about how it's an energetic shift that you go through. And I'm really looking forward to hearing that.
Can I say one thing about that?
Sure, please.
In the past, I used gratitude kind of like a place to hide, more like you should be grateful than a genuine gratitude. And I think it's really common. I don't think, I didn't know any better. I think most often we will do this to ourselves, kind of gaslight ourselves into gratitude versus feeling it in a different way. But before we moved here and before I started working with that coach, I told myself all the time I should be more grateful because my life was lovely, because I had a healthy 1-year-old and I had a functioning marriage. Like when I look at it now, I'm like, oh, actually, we were really unhappy. But at the time, it didn't appear that way to me. And I had a house and I had a great family, but I was not happy. And I would tell myself to be more grateful. And I was tricking myself into believing it. And then it took one weekend in my coach training program. They were like, what are you so sad about? Oh, it's very painful for people to just see right through you. So that's when I learned to stop doing that. And
Really?
actually be honest with myself.
When we get to the energetic shifts, let's dive into that more and dissect that, because I think a lot of people live in that area. And I can attest to that. I can attest to that there are times where I'm like, I should be thankful right now, but why do I feel so cruddy? So I'm looking forward to looking into that more with you and talking about that.
I think one thing that I noticed in what you said, Kristin, is that it's the little, it's the ordinary, it's the simple things. And what I noticed a shift in my happiness in the gratitude piece of things is when I started recognizing and just being more observant of the little things around me. Because we feel this need, I must be grateful for my house and my family and these big things. But really, when I take a walk and I just look up, and there's something about when the sunlight hits the leaves and it kind of comes through, it does it for me every time. It just hits really deep. And I feel this really strong sense of gratitude. And it's not anything really about my life or me or what it's something in the world, and it's this tiny little thing, and it's just being aware. And I think that that's a big shift in that true sense of gratitude, is when that smell of coffee or the light, it's those little tiny simple things that can really, going back to that energy shift, but it can kind of shift things for you, especially if you're in a hard spot where maybe the big things aren't going the way you want. But anyway, as Cindy said, we'll dive into that more. I do want to touch on what you do, because I think it's kind of it's one of those things where people are a little like, I don't know what that is. I don't know that that's for me. What does she actually even do? Let's be honest. So I want to dive into that. I want to take away the covers and expose what it is you do so people understand. You are an executive and leadership coach, which right there sounds kind of intimidating. Like if we just leave it at that. I want to make sure everyone's on the same page. Can you briefly explain for us what that means? What does an executive and leadership coach do? Who should be seeking out the services of someone like you, et cetera?
Yeah, sure. I completely agree with you. It's totally nebulous, this idea of coaching, until you begin to talk to somebody about how it applies to you on a personal level. And I will say that in general, when I talk about coaching, people are like, okay, I kind of get it, but this is why almost always I say to people, why don't we just have a conversation? Because getting the experience of it is completely different than talking about it. However, I will do my level best. I think that what I do is I help clients get clarity about where they are today, like kind of the gap between where they are and where they want to be, and then find out what's getting in their way from being where they want to be, whether it's real or imagined. So a lot of times, like in my case, when I was talking about wanting to live here and raise my daughter in the bosom of her family and have a fulfilling career, the things that were in my way were imagined. I imagined that I needed to take care of my husband completely and have, not pull him away. I imagined that it was selfish of me to put myself first. Those were all not real things. So, and then there are real things like, how are you going to make ends meet? There are real reality conversations there. But for the most part, I start to work with the client by asking them a lot of questions about their assumptions, how they see the world, how they see themselves, what they believe they're capable of, whether they believe it's possible to have what they want. And when we have these conversations, the awareness about what's preventing people from moving forward just happens really organically. And then when they start to see, oh, like in my case, I'll just use me as an example because it's so much easier when you have a real example. In my case, I really struggled to put myself first. I did not trust that my family would not be abandoned and sad if mom went and took care of herself. It just was like, no, I had to be the martyr. And so when I became aware of this, my coach suggested a small practice, which was, she's like, just try putting yourself first, like 1% more. And so sometimes that looked like I'd come in from taking my daughter to the park, and rather than getting her a snack, I would use the bathroom. This is like the tiniest little thing, right? But I took care of my need before I took care of her need. And it was this little tiny way of communicating to myself that my needs mattered, that I had them. Because I think as moms, a lot of times we're like, no, I'm actually a robot and I can operate on 100% battery power at all time without recharging. I know I do. So that's mainly how I work with clients. I work 100% with women, which is an accident. I didn't actually set out to only work with women. I have worked with men, but in the last 6 years, I don't think I have at all. I think it's because of the bent I have towards feminine leadership, which I know we'll talk about later, but it's about not so much striving, but more ease, I think. And I find that a lot of women are looking for ease in their life, where they're like, I want to be able to be successful and I want to have a great home life. And I don't know how to do that without going full throttle all the time. And so the kind of people who have, I always say to people, if you have a well-developed sense of humor, if you don't mind me communicating directly and you're obsessed with your dog, we would be a perfect fit with each other. But the kind of people that generally want to work with me are women who are looking to kind of have both. And when I say working moms, I mean all moms, because all moms work. This is very important. If you are staying at home, that does not mean that you're not working, probably working twice as much as anyone else. So I work with moms who are really looking to have both the fulfillment in their personal life or in their career life, whatever that looks like for them, and also have fun, like have a good time, feel like they can take care of themselves. And for many of us, that doesn't seem like a thing we get to have. We're supposed to self-sacrifice until everybody else is happy.
This episode is sponsored by Her Circle, the supportive and welcoming community for moms created by Her Health Collective.
Her Circle is a welcoming and supportive community for moms who are passionate about making change for themselves, their families, the community, and the world. Together, this village of women are revolutionizing the way moms take care of themselves.
From an active, private online community and the incredible daily chats hosted there, to our many virtual gatherings, including support groups, Moms Night Out, volunteer opportunities, book club, family adventures, coffee chats, and so much more. We love providing moms the chance to connect and create authentic relationships with one another.
The network of experts in Her Circle are a phenomenal resource and provide great learning experiences for moms on topics ranging from women's health to parenting. We cover the issues that matter to moms the most, from virtual expert Q&As to one-on-one Wellness Minute consultations and support groups. We are committed to getting moms in front of the information, experts, and support they need most.
To learn more about Her Circle, head to www.herhealthcollective.com/her-circle. We have a limited number of spaces and the doors only open a few times a year. So be sure to add your name to the no obligation waitlist so you are the first to know when the doors officially reopen. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people hear coach and immediately think therapy. Can you explain the difference between therapy and coaching?
No, totally. In the most, a therapist listening to this would be like, Kristin, seriously? So no, I am not a therapist and this is not my level of expertise, but the simplest way for me to describe the differences is that therapy works to heal your past so that it doesn't impact your present so much. It gives you this wonderful, solid foundation to work on. And then coaches work from where you are today, your present, into the future that you want. And they help you get clarity about your future. So many people come to me and they think they need to know exactly what they want in order to be able to pursue coaching. And I'm like, no. If you just know that you're unhappy and you don't know why, and you know you want something and you don't know what it is, that's the perfect time to come to a coach and just have a conversation about what could that be? Because we don't tend to spend time on the future or what we really want. We tend to focus on what we don't want. Mm-hmm. So that's the differences between coaching and therapy. And I would say one more thing, which is that when I have this initial conversation with clients, I will talk about the difference between consulting and coaching too, because I don't give advice. I'm not an expert on your life. Like I'm not an expert on Her Health Collective. You know way more about it than me. So I would never consider giving you any advice about what to do or how to get to where you want to go, because you know it better than me. So I'm just going to ask questions that draw the answers out of you. This is really important because I'm not here to fix people or fix their lives. It's more about reconnecting them to the power that they have to create what they want.
And sometimes it takes, again, the right person asking the right questions to help you get there. I know that you've worked with a couple of her moms regarding career shifts and I guess, figuring out those next steps. Can you talk to us a bit about the challenges of navigating a career change as a mom, or perhaps re-entering the workforce after some time away? What should a mom consider in those situations? How does she approach that type of transition?
Oh, this is such a good question. The most important thing for anyone ever, whether they're a mom or not, whether they are, like a politician or an old man, it does not matter, is being connected to your greatness. Simply put, that's it. And so a lot of times, I think the thing that's the most challenging about job hunting or going back to work, as if mothers weren't working again, ha ha ha, no. But going back to a paid position, shall we say, is that we tend to lose touch with our skill set, our contribution that we are, the natural brilliance that we bring into a room without having to try. And so what I always tell people that I'm working with, I've given actually workshops on this to my former company, was a travel event planning company, and everyone was laid off at the beginning of the pandemic. And a friend of mine and I, we went and gave just a free workshop to everybody that worked there because they were all unemployed at that point. And our, I guess, advice to them was to make it their job to remember every single skill set they developed over the past, 10, 15 years, 5 years, whatever, how long they had been in their job. For moms returning to work, I'd be like, every single skill set that you've developed since you have been home with your child, you can multitask like what? I know you can, because all of us can at that point in time. There are so many things that parents become adept at doing that other people have no idea about, and so it's like really honing in on what those skills are and getting connected to them. And that might mean that you have to ask other people around you, really interviewing other people, saying, hey, you know what, I'm looking for a new job, and tell me, what do you think I bring to the table? Because we lose track of it ourselves. We often get kind of discouraged and we feel not good. So then we got to talk to other people who love us and who want us to win and ask them.
Yeah. And there's power in getting that support too. I'm interested to know, you've talked and worked with so many moms. I'm interested to know, what would you say is the number one struggle you see women, particularly mothers, dealing with?
And when they go back to work, or in general?
The women that come to see you, just general, what's the number one struggle you see over and over and over again?
Well, there's this, what's that quote about life imitating art? In coaching, a lot of times the people that find me are the people who are like me. And so I think that my clients are often a reflection of me, and not because this is not like an egotistical thing. It just seems to be that way. So my biggest struggle, and it's also the way I tell my story, right? So you have heard me say this more than once in this conversation, that I really struggle to put myself first. This is what I see most with my clients across the board. And actually, this is what I see most with humans, because I'm in relationships with my aunts and uncles and my brother and my dad and my mom, like all of these people. We all sort of struggle to prioritize ourselves because there is this idea in the water that it's selfish to do that. But the reality is that everybody wins when you do. We call it, at Lumo, we call it trickle down momonomics, like not just for the 1%, but when you start at the top, mom being at the top, and you pour into our cup first, it naturally overflows into every single tier underneath you, where like the next tier is your relationship. Think about how when I am good, I'm sourced, I got my workout, I got some maybe meditation time, or I did something for myself in that day, I have space to hear about my husband's day. If I am exhausted because I have not stopped the whole entire day, I don't give a hoot about what he did. I'm just like, just leave me alone so I can have some private time. And then, after that, once you're good and you and your relationship is good, then you can show up in your career actually like ready to go. Because if you're having a fight with your partner, it's really hard to show up present at work. So it's, again, like you start with that top tier mom number one, relationship number two, career number three, and then friends and family are under there, not because they don't matter as much, but because that's the way that the priorities work. When the relationship is good, it's easy to take care of those kiddos, easy to see your friends.
I'm laughing because I'm envisioning what happened with my husband and I the other night. We had just come downstairs, and everybody knows we're in the middle of a renovation and it's just been going on for far too long.
Mm-hmm.
And we sat down on the couch to watch this show that I was so excited about, Jack Ryan. And he paused in the middle of the show to tell me about something. And I was like, you're killing me here. I just want to keep watching the show. I really wanted to hear what he had to say. I really did. I just needed to see the rest of my show. Like, that was my need at that point. So yes, that was a silly example, but yes.
No, it's a perfect example. It's a perfect example because when our needs are so pressing because we haven't like had a chance to take care of them, then we can't really, think about how when you're exhausted and your kids asking you like question after question after question, you're just like, gosh. Oh my God. But then there's those other days when you've had like, an hour nap on the couch or whatever, they come in and they want to talk to you as long as they're not waking you up.
You're like, my precious.
Hello, my baby, I missed you. Let me put your kisses on the face. Like it's so different. It's so different.
It
gives
is.
us access to our highest self when we're like actually taking care of our needs.
Right. And sometimes you don't even realize that you needed it. At that moment, I just needed to zone out and be someplace else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we snap. And a lot of times as a mom, I don't realize it until it's too late. So yes.
Well, yeah, but none of us are trying to hit the perfect train either. I mean, I know I'll be hard on myself about that, but like the reality is we're going to snap.
Yes. Yes.
Life is going to keep on lifing all at once.
That's so true. Well, you and I recently had a call together, which was delightful. I really enjoyed my time with you. And in our call, we talked about energetic shifts that need to happen around certain parts of our life. So I'm going to take us back to this conversation. You guys all didn't have to wait too long for our energetic shift discussion. So energetic shifts around areas such as money, self-worth, relationships. There's even feminine versus masculine energies. What does it mean to make an energetic shift?
It's about whether you're coming from a place of fear or a place of love. So in the example that we were just talking about, like I can care for my daughter from a place of obligation, which is essentially fear-based. It's like, have you all heard of above the line and below the line? That little, if you haven't, it's not a big deal, but essentially
Reminds me. Is this like the iceberg?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
It is that iceberg video, but it's about, for people who are listening, essentially anything that's coming from a place of like fear or sadness or obligation or resentment or any of the like perceived negative emotions, they're not actually negative. Like we are whole people, so we are going to have those. But from those places, that's essentially below the line. And when you're coming from a love-based place, like joy or excitement or commitment or gosh, there's millions of places, then you are coming from above the line. So when we talk about money, we can be coming from a negative place, like there's not enough, from scarcity, from fear, or we can talk about it from a trusting place. Like I believe that all my needs are going to be met, that they're going to be taken care of, that I can count on myself to make sure we don't end up in a cardboard box. This is actually the one I think I ended up choosing for myself. I said, under no circumstances am I ever going to allow that to happen. When I was starting my business, I thought, listen, Kristin, as I had this conversation with myself, listen, sister, we may or may not be successful here, but your family's not going to end up in a cardboard box because you will go out and get a job, bagging groceries if that's what it takes. But I can count on me, like I knew I would do that if that's what I needed to do. So again, that was from me coming from a place of trust when it came to money. And when I practiced that, which by the way, does not happen like, yay, I'm going to trust and then everything is fine.
It's not a switch.
I'm never going to
see
your money again. No, it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go back and forth, up and down, above the line and below the line all day, every single day. Again, we're human. We are not perfect automatons. But when I was practicing coming from a place of trust with money, it would like show up out of nowhere. And again, this is not magic, but like the example I would give you is I left my job. I was terrified. It was a week before we moved to North Carolina, and I left my salary, and my husband got into a car accident. He was okay, but the car was totaled. And turns out we actually didn't need that car because we were moving to a place where both of us were going to work from home. To this day, we still only have one car. So this money appeared. Like, we got the insurance money for the car, maybe $5,000. It was an old car, didn't, like whatever. But that money showed up when we needed it the most. And I believe it's because I had done this. I know this is very like maybe woo for certain people, but it was because I was trusting that everything was going to be okay. So, and I'm looking personally on purpose. I'm choosing to look for ways that I'm being supported by unseen forces all the time, because it makes my life better when I do that.
Right.
And during the pandemic, I forgot how to do that. And I just was looking for ways that the world was a horrible, terrible place and everyone was suffering. And I was just destroyed for like most of a year, I'd say, maybe more than that, just because there was so much suffering, so much unrest, so much sadness, for everyone. And I eventually had to find a way to believe that this is a dangerous thing to say. This was happening in service of us, I guess, so that we as a world would learn faster what we needed to do, what work we needed to take on, but both personally and then as a country and as a world. So yeah, nobody is going to be always trusting or always fearing. Yeah. No one's going to be always, coming from love or coming from resentment or sadness. I can care for my child from duty sometimes. And there are other times I care for her because I just freaking love being a mother. And like brushing her hair is the joy of my life. And then there are other days where brushing her hair is not.
When you said that, I was like, what?
I wish the listeners could see your face.
My daughter screams when I comb her hair. I do it
Talk to me offline. I have a great conditioner.
Oh, perfect. That sounds great. No, as you were talking, it brought me back to our gratitude conversation that we had earlier, and how I've also heard this energetic shift spoken in terms of energetic vibration, like raising your energetic vibration, whereas gratitude is, you can feel it almost inside of you. When you are in a place of gratitude and happiness, you feel lighter. But then when you are kind of in this dark place, everything is bad, no one's helping me, you're in this low vibration and you feel it. It's heavier, it's darker. But I liked how you had described it with above and below the line.
There's a great video. I wish I could send it to you, and maybe I will for show notes if you have them. There's, the
Please.
Center for something leadership. I've got to look it up, but I'll send it to you. And it's a wonderful, really simple, it's graphic illustrated. So the iceberg that you're talking about, where he's like pencil drawing it while he talks, it's just entertaining. It's less than 5 minutes, but it does give you a really cool framework to look at the world. And it's only for information. It's not like, oh, I'm bad because I'm below the line. It's just like, it is what it is.
Every day you have to work to be above the line. You realize you're below the line, it's noticing, and then you try to find a way to bring yourself up above the line. It's work every single day.
We were talking about this. I think Chrissy was talking about this earlier. Sometimes the thing that brings us back above the line is letting ourselves stay below it, like giving ourselves permission to feel that sadness or to feel that anger, or to like really validating our feelings is actually almost always what's missing. We are not taught to do that.
I'm so glad you said that.
I should be more grateful.
Right.
Yeah. So it's not about like avoiding it or shifting it or changing it necessarily, but like noticing, gosh, I'm really sad right now, and saying, is it okay for me to be sad? Is this okay with me? It's okay with me. I get to be sad, and then if we're like, wow, I've been sad for 2 weeks, it's like, maybe I should seek some outside support.
Right. Yes. That's beautiful. Kristin is so fun to talk to. It's easy to see why clients trust her to hold them accountable to their goals and help guide them toward their dreams. Here are our 3 takeaways from this episode. Number 1, we asked Kristin to explain what a coach does and the difference between coaching and therapy. Kristin said that coaches help clients get clarity about where they are today and become more clear on the gap between where they are and where they want to be. Coaches then find out what's getting in their way from being where they want to be, whether it's real or imagined. She doesn't give advice or attempt to fix a person. She asks a lot of powerful questions to organically draw the answers out of people about what's possibly preventing them from moving forward. Questions help to bring people's assumptions to the surface. It clarifies how they see the world, how they see themselves, and what they believe they're capable of, and whether they believe it's possible to have what they want. In Kristin's words, quote, therapy works to heal your past so that it doesn't impact your present as much. It gives you this wonderful, solid foundation to work on. And then coaches work from where you are today, your present, into the future that you want. And they help you get clarity about your future. End quote. It's also important to stress that when a person sees a coach, they don't need to know exactly what they want. Realizing that something is making them unhappy and desiring a change is the perfect time to see a coach. Together with the coach, conversations will take place about what could be making them unhappy. Time will be spent on what desires for the future look like for an individual and what they really want, rather than simply focusing on what they don't want. Number 2, Kristin stressed the importance for every person when making a life change, re-entering the workforce after time away, or a career shift, is to get in touch with their greatness. Refamiliarize themselves with their skill set and their personal worldly contributions, otherwise known as the natural brilliance that they bring into a room without having to try. It's so important to remember every single skill that's been developed over the time that they have been in their job. It's the same for moms returning to work. Write down every single skill set that's been developed since being home with your child or children. Work on honing in on those skills and getting connected to them, even if other people need to be asked who you know. Ask them what they think you bring to the table. It's easy to lose track of it ourselves. So that's when we talk to other people who love us and who want us to win and get their input. Number 3, in our discussion with Kristin, we talked about energetic shifts, and we asked her what it means to actually make an energetic shift. She explained that it's about whether you're coming from a place of fear or a place of love. And she went on to describe the analogy of above the line and below the line. Lower vibration energy, or essentially anything that's coming from a place of fear or sadness or obligation or resentment or any of the perceived negative emotions, are considered below the line. When you're coming from a love-based place like joy or excitement or commitment, gratitude, and so many more, these are considered high vibration energy or above the line. Kristin used the example of money to make her point. When we talk about money, we can be coming from below the line, a low vibration energy, like saying to ourselves, there's not enough, which is from scarcity and fear. Or we can talk about it from above the line with a higher vibration energy and a trusting place, saying things like, I believe that all my needs are going to be met, that they're going to be taken care of. This takes continuous work because no one is going to always be trusting or always be fearing. No one is always going to be coming from love or coming from resentment or sadness. It fluctuates constantly, and we need to practice coming from high vibration or above the line. It isn't about avoiding the feelings, though. Actually, it's the opposite, because giving ourselves permission to feel that sadness or to feel the anger or really validating our feelings is actually almost always what's missing. It's about non-judgmentally noticing what's happening, feeling it, and guiding ourselves through a shift. Come back next week as we share the second part of our conversation with Kristin, where we discuss integrating who we are across all areas of our life, finding ease and trust in both work and at home. We also talk about how to live a fully expressed life while bringing our best selves into motherhood, relationships, and career when we may not have the financial resources to hire a coach's services.
High five, friend. We've enjoyed hanging out with you. Follow us so you're the first to know when we drop a new episode.
If you've enjoyed your time with us, let us know by leaving a review. We always love hearing from you. Until next time, stay true to you.